Welcome back. Earlier today, the M3 survey, also known as durable goods, was released. The M3 survey is a survey of manufacturers' shipments, inventories, and orders, which is done to provide a broad based monthly statistical data report on current economic conditions, specifically within the manufacturing sector. Now, to summarize, the Commerce Department said that durable good orders fell by 5.2%. That's month over month. The durable goods orders increased 0.5%, excluding transportation. So it was down a lot, including transportation. Some analysts attribute the weakness to a lack of Boeing orders. Now, on a year over year basis, durable goods from this July to last is up 3.8%, excluding transportation, only up 1.1%, excluding defense, up 4.1%. So we can see, especially, and the real theme today is transportation. Excluding transportation, the durable goods orders were up only slightly. On a month over a month basis, there was actually it was a very poor report due in large part to a drop in aircraft orders. Durable goods, again, are those goods that are designed to last more than 3 to 5 years. Airplanes, washing machines, computers, things of that nature. This goes back to 2021. The blue line represents the new orders. And again, this is all on a year over year basis. That's the headline number is the blue bars over here. Consumer goods is reflected in red. Durable goods ex transportation, not including transportation, is in black. And then the yellow is excluding defense. So we can see first the red. New orders, specifically consumer goods, coming out of the COVID crisis, late 2021, we saw the orders for consumer goods was down. That really did respond. And if you think about the economy, the large part of it is obviously consumer driven. Now that was there. That strength was there. It seems to have all but dissipated at this point. This is one of the lowest levels we've seen in quite a while, only a 5% year over year. And if you think about the summertime, uh, I think it's a period of time that you have a lot of consumer activity. People are out there shopping, things like that. The blue is the new orders. That's the headline number that was very strong in 2021. It has dissipated. A couple months ago, we did have a nice 10% year over year report. That has disappeared now. This month's report is probably the weakest year over year new orders report that we've seen in a long time. X transportation is in black, not including transportation. We did have quite a bit of strength. You see in 2021, transportation did not represent a very big component, at least percentage wise, because if you take out transportation, these black lines are still very high. Well, now you take out transportation and you see that things are actually very, very weak. We're barely flirting with positive territory here. Excluding defenses in yellow, again, that was very strong. That has all but dissipated. Last month it was a good number, but again, this number is negative again. So overall, the trend is to the downside. But I would say specifically, again, excluding transportation, if you take out the transportation, it really shows there's not a lot of manufacturing going on, that the manufacturing for aircraft was a very, maybe still is a very large component of whatever positive news we have out there. Here are the manufacturing new orders. These are for consumer goods in red. The S&P 500 is in blue. And we can see, I don't know if you'd say this is a strong correlation. Actually, not so much. Maybe probably a zero correlation here. New orders were quite strong for consumer goods late last year, while the S&P 500 was quite weak. Is there a delayed effect? Maybe the new orders that took place in August translated in a stronger stock market like we saw in subsequent months. I don't know. I don't know if you can go that far. I think the stock market is a leading indicator. It's made up of all of us trying to guess what's going to happen next. So I don't know if there's any correlation here, but we can see that we're barely in positive territory on a year over year basis for consumer goods. Now we see here durable goods excluding transportation. barely positive. Transportation has been really, I think, the only thing that has been keeping this up, and now it's not really there anymore. Now, this, strangely enough, seems to have a stronger correlation now, especially taking into consideration the weaker stock markets we've seen lately, with excluding transportation. This looks like it's pretty representative of the economy and the S&P 500. Excluding defense, also pretty strong correlation. We saw pretty strong durable good orders, excluding defense, along with a strong stock market in late 2021. But if you take out, and maybe I think it's important to talk about durable goods, excluding transportation and excluding defense, because after all, those are not as sensitive to interest rates. After all, if the military gives Boeing a large order for aircraft, the military defense budget is not really trying to maneuver, you know, interest rates and the rate of inflation. If they need the planes, they'll order the planes. So if you exclude transportation, it looks like inflation actually has a much stronger impact on durable goods, or the lack thereof. The blue lines here, we took out everything else and it's only transportation. The red line is only defense. Now we really get to see the truth within the numbers here, within the data. The black line is the S&P 500, and we can see that the blue line, that's only transportation, that has been very strong. We go back to December of last year, and especially last month. That was a huge number. Now we're pretty much the lowest lows we've seen for this year. We're almost there. We're towards closer to the lower end. Defense was weak. It strengthened, but now this is a second negative month for defense only consumer goods. Well, not consumer goods, but durable goods within the defense sector. So the defense spending is not doing us any favors, and the transportation, which was the strongest component, not really, it's not there anymore. Should we be dependent on only transportation? Now it's not only Boeing, it's not only aircraft, it's vehicles as well. But then again, maybe the vehicle sector of the transportation index within durable goods, maybe that is very sensitive to interest rates. Maybe automobile manufacturing is down a lot as a result of lesser demand because of interest rates. Left hand chart shows 2006 through 2008. We just take this as a period of time, represented a very strong economy that turned very weak. So we use this as an example. 2006 economy is very strong. Obviously, '08 not so much. Right hand side is 2021 through present day. These are two snapshots of 2 years. Now, the black line represents durable goods excluding defense. The blue line is the overall headline number, and the red line is durable goods excluding transportation. And we can see in 2006, things were quite strong and they really kind of took a turn to the downside. Notice as we entered the recession of '08, excluding defense, if you take out defense, that really was very weak. It seems that defense was a strong part. That was followed by the overall durable goods orders, and then durable goods excluding transportation was, the strongest, relatively speaking. So it shows us there was a very big decline in transportation. So the other way you look at this, if we want to isolate only transportation, we say, well, the durable goods, the blue line, compare that to the red line. The blue line is the overall number. The red line is excluding transportation. So those periods of time that transportation is very strong, you would see or I should say that the durable goods was very strong. The consumer side, for example, we'd want to see the red line go up. However, conversely, when you exclude transportation and the red lines at the bottom, it means that this is actually consumer goods. So the consumer goods was very weak coming into 2007, but ultimately the weakest durable goods as we entered the '08 recession. What did the beginning of the 2008 recession look like? And that really didn't start till mid or third quarter to '08. But what was the theme? Excluding defense and the overall, meaning transportation was really kind of holding us up. It was maybe the last bastion of strength. Kind of similar to where we are now. We just looked at the numbers, and transportation was really, we said one of the strongest components of our durable goods orders as a result of high interest rates that was suppressing the consumer. But now that's kind of falling apart. So again, the red line, left-hand side, is excluding transportation. Looks like it was strong. Now excluding transportation, it's really the weakest. So I would argue that we're actually in a worse position, relatively speaking. If you look at of the way this is comprised, the makeup of our economy now in terms of looking at it through the durable goods window, excluding transportation, take out and forget defense. Defense is a very small part of it, but taking away transportation, it's everything else. It's washing machines, it's computers, laptops, iPads, things like that. Things meant to last more than 5 years, 3 to 5 years. If you take out transportation, that's actually very, very negative, more so than it was in 2008. Now we have a summit starting today. The real big day is tomorrow with Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Federal Chairman Powell will speak, and that is watched very, very closely among Fed watchers. Here we see the red bubbles represent the chances the Federal Reserve will not raise interest rates, will keep them at the 525 to 550 level. The blue bubbles at the bottom represent the chances the Federal Reserve will raise interest rates from 525 50 to the 550 5.75. At the bottom, we can see the economic events that really kind of coincided. We had non-farm payroll. We had a 87% chance no change in interest rates. Wholesale inventories, 85%. The inflation numbers, PPI, CPI, up to 89%. The Federal Reserve minutes, we have a 90% chance the Federal Reserve is not going to cut interest rates. Richmond Fed president spoke this week. Then new home sales. New home sales showed a real lack of supply. We talked about that last night. But now today, durable goods, again, excluding transportation. Transportation really is falling, and that seems to be the strong point. It was a strong point. We now have only an 82.5% chance. I know it's still high, but it's the weakest position we've seen going back to the beginning of August. We now have a 17.5% chance the Federal Reserve will raise interest rates. Well, why would this be? I thought the durable good orders were weak. Got to be something else. Maybe it's because the Fed watchers and the market overall, the bond market, is waiting for Chairman Powell. Now, this past week, Richmond Fed president spoke. Now, he's not a voting member this year, so it doesn't matter so much what he said, but his stance was Barkin, I believe is his name, is that the Federal Reserve should not, two things, should not abandon the 2% inflation target, meaning we're above 2%, we got to keep steadfast, we got to raise interest rates. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. Do not abandon the 2% inflation target. And second of all, he said the jobs market looks resilient. Now, does the chairman Fed Chairman Powell, does he share the same opinion? If he does, maybe that's the reason why we now have only an 82.5% chance the Federal Reserve will not raise rates. And we have now a 17.5% chance they will raise rates. One report does not make a trend, but the trend, the direction, it looks like we're heading more towards a bias of maybe raising interest rates. But tomorrow will be the tell. So this is just a preview of what's to come. And we'll be sure to cover that and any other significant changes along the way. We hope this has been helpful. We look forward to seeing you back soon.